Hey, Icha, Uta. Welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Ewoks, the animated series from 1985. Yeah, let's open that up. Come on, there we go. Yeah, 85, 86. It runs two seasons of 13 episodes each. It's about 26 episodes. That's math for you. But yeah, this is a little bit of a cult classic. It is the reason why I think it hasn't been under the original Star Wars umbrella is probably due to the fact that it still has a 20th Century Fox logo thing at the end of each episode. So once Disney got Fox, well, hey, bringing this under the umbrella, and of course putting it on Disney Plus, announced just last month. So all these, this is part two. This is the second one, yeah. Caravan of Courage was yesterday. Part two in our 7-day, week-long Star Wars adventure, vintage Star Wars adventure. Yes, there is only 5 or so things on here, 6, but I'm going to throw in a little something extra at the end to make a full week. Anyway, Ewoks animated. A lot of these episodes, at least the first 3 episodes, I watched 4. The first 3 episodes are written by Paul Dini. If you know that name, it's he's pretty much written every cartoon you remember from the 80s and 90s. Batman the Animated Series is probably his thing he's most noted for, because he's also the co-creator of Harley Quinn, who's now a big star. Margot Robbie playing her, and so far 2 movies, soon be 3, maybe many more. Who knows? But yeah, Paul Dini is a prolific animated series writer. Smurfs, uh, it probably Care Bears, Snorks. I have no idea. I don't have the list in front of me. I should, but I don't. I don't need the tablet this week. But yeah, it's he's a noted writer, and that's usually a good enough reason for those of us who love animation to watch this. However, this animated series is not exactly meant for people my age. And honestly, I have to admit that when this first came out, I felt that I was maybe probably a little bit too mature, too grown up to watch it. So I don't think I ever watched it. I may have watched 1 or 2 episodes and just went, eh. And that's pretty much my attitude now. It's kind of, eh. There are certain, I mean, you have to know, I love Star Wars. Star Wars has been who I am since a very young age. In this situation, I was probably a good judge of what the show was about. It's focused for little kids. Everything George Lucas has made in the Star Wars realm, he's always said it's meant for kids. And the kid in all of us. But there's certain things that are written and produced in a way that is genuinely fully for kids. I'm sure I've seen some of these stories in other cartoons when I was growing up, just different variations. There's always a quest. In fact, most of these stories, it feels like we're in Middle Earth, and all the creatures are not scary, except for okay, 2. There's these long-legged spider type things that then have faces that are maybe creatures. Right? I don't know. I just. Then there's the dandelion warriors in episode 3, or 4, episode 4. Dandelion warriors, they're kind of out of a heavy metal nightmare. They shoot spikes, dandelion spikes at people. I don't know. I mean, honestly, when you saw Endor, the moon of Endor, in Return of the Jedi, you probably thought, hey man, these Ewoks pretty much kill and eat everything they see, including stormtroopers. And until somebody stopped them, Luke and Han and Chewie. So yeah, there's actually a ton of fauna in on this planet, on this moon, because man, every episode it seems to introduce another half dozen strange, wacky creatures. And again, like I said, none of them are intensely scary. They don't look monstrous. Some of like I said, those 2 are just unusual. Most of the creatures in this look like cast-offs from a Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings kind of thing. It's really I can't keep up with them. I mean, other than the fact, I mean, the Ewoks have cousins, like a genetic cousin in the Duloks, which are lean, cat faced, and I guess I don't know how to really describe them. They're green. Um, they're they're the bad guys under the control of Morag, which is an old wizard witch type person uh, who she's the equivalent of the Ewoks Logray. If you know who Logray is, even though his name was never mentioned in the movie, he is something that anybody who had an action figure, an Ewok action figures back in the 80s, knows. Logray is the medicine man. He's like the shaman, the the kind of witch doctor kind of dude that handles all this stuff. In this animated series, Logray is kind of like this butt kicking Merlin dude because he actually does magic. There's actually magic. It's not just, hey, we're gonna wave some bones around and do stuff and pretend that we're pleasing the gods with things. He makes potions and he can make fruit bushes invisible so pterodactyls don't get them, like things that look like pterodactyls. He can heal people with purple sprinkle glitter powder that he pours over Wicket's dad when he gets sick. Logray is the man in this. Wicket, of course, his focus is mostly on Wicket and his friends, his brothers, Willie and Weeby, I think. Offhand, I can't remember, but Willie and Weeby, they were also, he has two brothers also in the Caravan of Courage. Oh, by the way, also speaking of a carryover from Caravan of Courage, there's also these little sparkly fairy type things, like Tinkerbell, but there's a lot of them, and there's like a princess that more so, she's like the leader of it, and she gets kidnapped in like the first episode or something. It's there's so many different creatures. There's giant lizards, there's little fish, there's a bunch of giants, but they're all friendly looking. They're not like scary. So yeah, again, the focus on this is not to really just make you go, wow, this is some crazy like cool animation. It's good. It's not great. It's not innovative, which you kind of would expect from Lucasfilm. But I mean, it's got a good pedigree. Of course, George Lucas is actually involved in this, unlike the holiday special, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Unlike the holiday special, which he sort of said, okay, yeah, here, go do that. And it came out horribly, except for one thing, which we'll talk about again tomorrow. in this, the Ewoks thankfully don't just speak Ewok, so you're not spending 23 minutes of them going, you don't hear them doing that. They speak English, or at least English in the version I watched. I'm sure it's translated in other languages. But yes, they speak human languages, even though they do utterances, Ewok utterances. Utini, no, that's Jawas. What's the Ichiwawa? No, that doesn't seem right. It's one of them. They use, by the way, the thing that I'm thinking of, they use it like a lot in episode 4. There's somebody else, I can't remember who wrote that one, but they use a lot of recognizable Ewok-isms. The children are named, it's just so weird. Ewok, yeah, I don't know. They're just little Ewoks. Wicket has to babysit at one point, and they have a special child name for Ewoks. It's based on the word Ewok. It's the main thing that I have a real problem with is that we have characters again that are based on the names that were given to the action figures that we bought back in the 1980s. Well, I mean, like Paplu, he's a troublemaker. He's he kind of is daring, and he's the one who stole the speeder bike from the biker scout that got things cleared away in front of the Imperial bunker. But he doesn't look anything like Paplu looked in the thing. Like, it's just a matter of coloring. But here, I think he's like a blonde tuft of hair. the top of his head. I don't know. Um, and Tebow is the worst. Tebow, he is like a light tannish brown, where he's black and gray in the movie. And then there's Chief Chirpa, and then there's also Logray doesn't look like Logray. I realize you have to make changes to make things more appealing, in cartoons something more soft. Still, it's confusing because Tebow. Try to look up Tebow. Just Google it. Just Tebow and then animated Tebow. Two very different looks. And then there's girl Ewoks, one that's a little bit younger than Wicket, who has a huge crush on him, and he pretty much ignores her because he's more interested in other stuff. And he says something nasty about her, like he's dismissing her out of hand to his friends, and she gets all sad and runs away. Wicket's a jerk, at least in episode 3, I think. It's yeah. So yeah, does it sound like I'm invested in these stories? I'm not really, but I had to be able to talk about something here. So yeah, I know what happened. So the looks of these characters not consistent with the movie. It's not a big deal. It really isn't, unless you're just like an uber. Yeah, this is the way it should be. George Lucas, yeah, I condemn you. Yeah, that's that kind of thing. But for the most part, it comes down to stories that are pretty much predictable, adorable, and there's no stakes whatsoever for the most part. At least not from a person of my age, where I go, I know how this is going to work out, and there's nothing that really pulls me into it and makes these characters more like compelling. Like, oh my gosh, I need to see how Wicket's life turns out. His love life with I think it's a princess. I'm not sure. No, it's the one with the blue thing. I don't know. Either way. Oh no, that's the little one. Never mind. It's apparently we all saw in Rise of Skywalker that little cameo from Wicket, and he has a family, so he has a family at some point. But yeah, these are the stories of just Wicket and the Ewoks in the village, and if you have kids that love Ewoks, put them in front of this. 26 episodes. If you grew up with this and this has a special place in your heart, I am not about to condemn you and say, oh, well, no, this is bad. You shouldn't watch this. But at some point, I'm going to watch it. I was going to say, I was going to marathon this as soon as I planned this out. I was going to marathon this and watch all 26 episodes, but I realized I don't have time in my life, and I'm just recovering from my second COVID vaccine jab, and I just don't have the energy to do all this. So, yeah, you don't need to watch this. I don't think it's canon in any way, but if you have a nice little diversion, if you want to make sure, if you're a Star Wars fan who needs to see everything, you're going to have to watch this. You're going to have to, whether you like it or not. And that's my situation because I'm a Star Wars fan and I haven't seen all of this yet. So even though I've watched 4 episodes, I still got 22 more to go. So good luck me. Good luck you. It's not it's not horrible, but it's just to me it's not something I want to blow 10 hours on. Which, if you do the math, it's a little over 10 hours. 10 and a half hours, just about. So anyway, yeah, that's the Ewoks animated series. Check it out if you want, but you don't have to. Tomorrow, we have something that's specially packaged just for Disney Plus. It was a special treat on the Blu-ray, the Saga Edition Blu-ray, back when that was released. It was a little Easter egg hidden away, but it's the story of the Faithful Wookiee, which is the animated sequence that was included in the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special, which, even though George Lucas does not have any power over these kind of things anymore, technically, because he's out of it, he sold it, odds are that's never going to show up on Disney Plus. If it is, wow. But odds are, let's not hold our breath. So, still, this is the animation, the animated sequence, which we'll talk about tomorrow, is important because it's the first appearance of Boba Fett. So, and that leads to The Mandalorian and so much else. So we'll see you back here tomorrow on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge with the story of the Faithful Wookiee. See you then.